Hello folks, it's Mr. Neil, and in this session we're going to continue looking at how we use Python and the turtle to write wee programs. Before we get into the depths of this week's session, we're going to have a look back at last week's session. So last week we used Python and turtle to create flags from all over the world. Just to see if you can remember the content that we did last week, I've got a wee starter task on the screen for you. What I would like you to do is I'd like you to use Python and turtle to create a navy square which is 100 by 100. So pause the video now, go and log into your REPL account and create that square. In this session we are going to look at how we can use turtle to make mandalas, and we'll talk a bit about what mandala is shortly. By the end of this session, you'll be able to write Python code to make the turtle move forward. You'll be able to use angles and write Python code to make the turtle turn. You'll be able to write Python code that will make the colour either filled or the line of the turtle draws. And you'll be able to use fixed loop. We'll also use our knowledge of shape, and we'll use arithmetic to calculate angles, and we'll use our logic and problem solving skills to answer simple questions. Before we go any further, let's head over to REPL and have a look at the code that we have written to create our navy square. So here we are in REPL, and hopefully you should have some code similar to this. And just to prove it works, I'm going to click on run, and you'll see I get the blue square. But this code isn't efficient, and it's not efficient because we are doing the same thing essentially 4 times. We're going forward and right, forward and right, forward and right, forward, and we could go right 4 times. So we can actually make this code a lot more efficient by using something called a loop. So I'm going to delete the code that I've got, and I'm going to put in a loop instead. So I'm going to type for counter in range, and then the number of sides that my shape is going to have. So I'm drawing a square, so it's going to have 4 sides, and then I'm going to put a colon. When I press enter, I will be indented in, and that means I'm not against the edge. So if I now type forward 100, and you'll see here that line 9 has been indented. Now it's really important that that indentation is there. It should happen automatically, but if it doesn't happen automatically, what you can do is press the tab key on your keyboard. So we're going to go forward 100, then we're going to go right 90. And when I run that, we get the exact same shape, but we've got less code that we have written. So on the left of the screen here, you have the code that you wrote as part of the starter. On the right, we have got my code that I have written that has simplified the code to draw the square by using a fixed loop. So this for counter in range is called a fixed loop because it is going to do these 2 instructions 4 times. So by using loops like this, we can draw mandalas. What exactly are mandalas? Well, mandalas are often associated to be circular designs with repeating patterns and colours. And these can be quite precise and geometric, like the kind that we're going to be making today, or they could be a wee bit more organic. Now, Hindus and Buddhists believe that mandalas are an object of meditation, and it can aid your spiritual development. But we're going to use Python to draw mandalas similar to this one here. So let's head over to REPL and see how we produce a mandala. So here we are in REPL, and what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to delete most of my code. You can make a new REPL if you wish. So I'm going to start with a fixed loop, and I'm going to put for counter in range, and I'm going to put 8. And it's not because I'm drawing an 8-sided shape, but the 8 is the number of times I want my shape to appear on the screen. Then I'm going to hit enter twice, and I'm going to type in the next line, which is for counter in range 4. And that is because this time round I'm drawing a shape with 4 sides. I'm going to draw a square. And like before, I'm going to go forward 100, right 90. And you'll see that as I'm typing here, we are indenting. So these 2 lines here are inside this for loop, so they need to be indented. These lines here are inside this for loop, so they have to be indented. I'm going to hit enter twice and then backspace 1, and I'm going to put right 45. And the reason I'm putting right 45 is we want the turtle to go round in a big circle, drawing lots of squares. I have got 8 squares that I'm going to draw, so in order to draw 8 of them and go rounding a full circle, I need to take 360 and divide it by 8, which gives me 45. Now if I run it, I get this shape here. And that is my first mandala. So here we have the code and we have the example of the mandala on the right hand side. So let me just explain again to you what the code is doing. So the first loop for counter in range 8 is the number of shapes in the mandala. So there's going to be 8 squares in my mandala. The second number is the number of sides on the shape. So I'm creating a square, so there are going to be 4 sides on the shape. The next one is the length of each side, and we're used to moving forward as we did that a lot last week. So this is the length of each side. Next is the angle that we need to turn to draw the next side of the shape. So if we're drawing a square, there are 4 sides, so 360 divided by 4 is 90. So we need to take 360 divided by the number of sides, and that will give us the angle that we need to turn. And the last number is the turn that we go between shapes. So 360 divided by the number of shapes will give me this number. It's now your turn to recreate the square mandala in REPL. Pause the video now and use this code to make your version of this mandala. Now that you've created the square mandala, we're going to use this code to create another mandala. There is an easy way to copy your code in REPL. You're going to click on the name of your file, followed by fork. This will create a new version of the file. Once the new version is created, we're again going to click on the file name and change the name of this mandala to Pentagon Mandala. And the file name will be changed. Let's have a look what we're going to have to do for this mandala. For the Pentagon Mandala, you're going to create this mandala on the screen. Remember, a pentagon has 5 sides. Each side should be 80 long, and there are 10 pentagons in this shape. Think about the code that you're going to have to change to make this mandala. Pause the video now and have a go at making this mandala. Here is the code for the Pentagon Mandala. I've made it purple, but you can make it any colour you want. We said that there are going to be 10 shapes in our mandala, so that's why the first fixed loop goes round for 10. A pentagon has 5 sides, so that is why the second loop is repeating for 5 times. We said that each side would be 80, so we're going forward 80. Between each side we turn 72 degrees. The reason we turn 72 degrees is 360 divided by 5 is 72. Between each of the shapes, we turn 36 degrees. The reason we turn 36 degrees is because 360 divided by 10 is 36. Let's have a wee look at how this mandala looks on REPL. Here we are on REPL, the code is on the left hand side. Let's click run and see that mandala take place before our eyes. Now that you've cracked the Pentagon Mandala, what I would like you to do is open up a new REPL and create one of these mandalas here. You can create the triangle one, the octagon one, the decagon one, or the circle one. If you create the circle one, it can take the turtle quite a wee while to draw it. Pause the video here and create one of these mandalas. it can be rather therapeutic to colour mandalas in. So if you want to, and you've got the ability, why don't you screenshot your mandala and REPL and print it out and colour it in? We're going to move on to another bit of the code now, where we can actually code Turtle to colour in the lines of our mandala in a different way. So let's head over to REPL and see how that is done. Here we are in REPL with our pentagon mandala. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add in a line of code that says palette, and this is going to be all the different colours that we are going to use. So I'm going to put square brackets in, and I'm going to put a quotation mark, and I'm going to type in a colour between the quotation marks. I'm going to put a comma, and then I'm going to put another colour in, and a comma, and then another colour, and then a comma and another. You can use whatever colours you want. I'm going to move the line that says colour purple to be just above the forward, and I'm going to paste it in. I'm going to delete the purple, and I'm going to replace it with the line random dot choice bracket palette. And what that is going to do is pick a random colour from our colour palette. Each side will be a different colour. So when I now click run, I get an error. And the reason I get an error is because I forgot to import random. And now when I click run, we will get a different colour for each side of our mandala. And the more colours that you include in your palette, the more colours will be in your mandala. Here we have the code to add colour to your mandala and an example of colour within a different mandala on the right hand side. The final task that I would like you to complete today is adding colour to the mandala that you completed in task 2. If you're not sure what colours you can use, if you head to the link on screen, you'll be able to pick from the different colours that the turtle knows. So in this lesson, you have learned how to use fixed loops to create mandalas using Python and Turtle.